Welcome, everybody. Hope the night three in the place to be. It's the Wrestling Corner, episode 3 of season 6. How's everybody doing on their end? On today's show, it's basically the go home edition. We're going to Extreme Rules go home edition of the corner. So it's basically Extreme Rules. The build up has kind of been finished. I don't really think anything advancing the plots and everything is going to happen on SmackDown. Usually that's the case. That really after what happens on Raw, that's it. So as you guys may know, Extreme Rules 2016 will be this Sunday. And by the way, I was really going to do the Wrestling Corner yesterday, but I came down with the sniffles and sneezing and you name it. It's allergy season in New York, and I bet you a lot of other places. So I didn't really feel the need to, be on the corner. And mostly the corner consisted of me sneezing and maybe going off camera to blow my nose or so on and so forth. Well, I just decided I'm feeling better today that I'll do it. So that's what if you guys were wondering where the corner was last night. That's the explanation. That's the reason. I remember what I said for the Wrestling Corner. Just look for it on Mondays or Tuesdays. If it's not Monday, then the odds are it's going to be airing on Tuesday. So that takes care of that. Also on the corner, I will be talking about one of the big news to come out of wrestling. I believe it was last week or a week before that, and it was a certain advertisement for a live event in Honolulu for WWE. And originally, I was going to think about just having that be one of the top views that I said to look forward to. Just it's not going to be live, but I didn't get time to do it, so I just said, let me just talk about it. Next time I do the corner. And also, I'll just get a little thoughts on what I thought of the go home show on Raw last night. So I guess we'll start off there. The go home edition of Raw was for the Extreme Rules. It was pretty underwhelming. Yeah, I mean, started off with a Cesaro. Oh, let's start with Cesaro. No, it started off with AJ Styles and Roman Reigns, promo, which led to their respective boys getting involved. And then you had Cesaro versus Sami Zayn stepping off of the ending that happened on that SmackDown with Sami Zayn mistakenly Helluva kicking him. But that turned into a big brawl between all four participants of the Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental Championship and led to a tag team match. And I got gonna lie, it was interesting that instead of doing the obvious pairings, Cesaro, basically the faces versus the heels, they did Sammy and Owens versus Cesaro and The Miz. And it was pretty funny to see Cesaro do the Skull Crush finale on Miz. And, it led to Zayn and Owens getting the victory, which was funny because, for anybody that's been watching them before WWE or even NXT, seeing them on the same side, was like bringing back old memories when they used to be together. At that time, Sammy was El Generico and Owens was Steve. But, then there was just some things that were just a bit filler, they once again they're trying to push this the golden truth, and now Fandango and Tyler Breeze situation. I think it's one of those cases of when there is actually a lower card feud that getting people some spotlight. I think it's a case of, this is the example, but I'm not really sure if the fans are really buying into it, are really enjoying it. I mean, I know there's some fans that basically Golden Truth as just a carbon copy of Booker T and Goldust, which which worked out great, in 2002 to 2003. But then there was also, some things very underwhelming, like the Becky Lynch, Dana Brooke match. I'm pretty interested. Probably one of the best segments was the New Day's segment, basically that time machine segment, where when they went back in time and they basically went back to 2009 in a way. They had Kofi. They played SOS and Kofi comes out and he does the boom, 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 which it's like, man, Kofi hasn't done that since 2014, but he's coming. He's he's really coming to his own with the whole New Day thing. That it was almost like, man, seeing him talking in the Jamaican accent, everything felt like, well, then again, him doing the boom, boom, boom as they transfer, but him being like Jamaican, goes all the way back to 2009. And as when he got pulled back, he's like, wait a minute, no, 2009 was my best year, which was pretty entertaining. But then the Vol Villains, beat them up after. It was pretty interesting that the Vol Villains did 2 tag team moves that were better than their their tag team move, the Whirling Dervish. And then you had the Usos versus Gallows and Anderson again. Nobody just keeps doing this match, but this time the Usos got the win, and AJ made good on his word that this time he wasn't going to hesitate to attack Roman with a chair. Excuse me. And even at his first attempt, it didn't work, but then it worked, and he hit the Styles Clash on Roman, which was pretty cool. And there was also Sin Cara Kalisto versus Del Rio, where Kalisto basically was getting dominated all the way through and then had to deal with his partner in crime, Sin Cara getting obliterated by Rusev. And then Kalisto was getting bent in half by Rusev. He also had the debut of the Shining Stars, aka Epico and Primo. And then it was interesting that the main event, this is twice in the past. The last one was during. No, don't tell me. Okay. The last one was. I'm sorry about that. Something was going on my computer. I thought that froze. Last one was during. I think Survivor Series, where the main segment was a contract signing for the women's match, which is interesting, but this time, after a while, couldn't even tell if it was building up to Natalya Charlotte's submission match or if it was building up to Stephanie and Shane versus Charlotte and Rick. It was pretty odd. So, and it was almost like, it seemed like one of the reasons, or maybe the main reason why it was the main segment was because the McMahons were in it, not because Charlotte and Natalya. Which I found out that's like 2 weeks. That's like 2 weeks that Roman and Styles situation has like moved down placing in the card. Instead of being the main segment, the main event segment, it's been something else. The week before that was Ambrose and Chris Jericho, which was the only reason why Kaz and Jericho was like the main segment. And speaking of Jericho and Ambrose, it was basically announced that their match at Extreme Rules is going to be an Asylum match. The first ever Asylum match in WWE. And I'll get more into that when going into my predictions. But basically, yeah, the go-home show for Extreme Rules, well, it was pretty underwhelming. Now, do I think that Extreme Rules itself is going to be underwhelming? No. I think Extreme Rules, despite, yes, I do agree with fans say, I really don't see the point of Extreme Rules in the PG era, just like, you don't see the point of having Hell in a Cell in the in the PG era. But despite the PG era, because Extreme Rules has mostly been held during the PG times, Extreme Rules has kind of been, reputation-wise, been pretty decent pay-per-view. Extreme Rules 2012 was highly acclaimed. It was one of my favorite pay-per-views of that year. Not just because Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, but also, Sheamus versus Bryan, Jericho versus Punk. Kane and Orton had a pretty interesting Falls Count Anywhere match, I believe. So, despite the PG and despite it not fitting with the extreme stipulation, it's like in the later pay-per-views for Extreme Rules, it seems like they cut down on the extreme stipulation. Because it used to be mostly every match had a stipulation to it. Every match stipulation was most about a street fight. It was most about Falls Count Anywhere. A cage match, a last man standing. A Singapore cane, you name it, or a tables match. But it seems like they're really kind of being Pacific with how the stipulations are. Because if we think about it, the Charlotte and Natalya match, there's really nothing extreme about it. It's a submission match. Now, granted, probably the best submission match to ever take place in WWE was extreme. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold. But when you think of a submission match, if you're not thinking of Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, you're not really thinking of extreme physicality. You're thinking of, mostly endurance and, how much, and pain threshold, how much you can last for your breaking point. You guys remember Breaking Point 2009? That was the only pay-per-view. It would still be the submission-based pay-per-view. And WWE was, was really throwing ideas out there to see what stuck in terms of theme pay-per-views. So I guess, going to prediction. Yeah, going to predictions. So you know what? Let me just check something out. Let me just make sure nothing else was added to the card. Now look on my phone. What the hell is that? Yeah. Oh, okay, hold on. Hold on, guys. Bear with me. Okay, here we go. It's June 2016. Let's see the card. Let's see if they add anything. All right, so far, so they didn't add anything. So far, there's basically 6 matches on the main card, while there's 1 match on the pre-show. Dawson was Baron, which I don't understand why. I don't understand why this is being regulated to the pre-show again. I didn't understand the reason for it was regulated to the pre-show at Payback for Payback. The only reason I can think of is because the whole McMahon segment, which went longer than it needed to be, in my opinion. But I don't know why it's being regulated to a pre-show this time, and it's going to be no disqualification. And I thought the feud was over. I thought with that win that Corbin got over Ziggler, because I wasn't seeing anything else happening with it unless I missed something on SmackDown. I thought the feud was over. So, it's pretty interesting that it's going to continue, but in no disqualification, man. To relate to in regards to the Extreme Rules theme. Well, we have for the United States Championship, we have Kalisto versus Rusev. Seems like WWE is, I don't know if they're attempting to, or I don't know if it's just an attempt, or they're going to go actually through with trying to bring Rusev back to, back to like, his promise or anything, back to a promising position. Because, when he was at his height of, success, it was as United States champion. So I don't know if it's just a attempt or they're actually going to go through with it. And so far, they've tried to, I guess, get people into it. But I can't really say if people are not or if they are. It's kind of hard, I guess, to really get in something with with Kalisto because, Kalisto, I like Kalisto, but, I'm not sure if he's the one that is going to get you into his match, with his words. Mostly the buildup has been, Kalisto, sitting on commentary in a suit while watching Rusev compete, mostly against Sin Cara. And one thing I will say is that basically the addition, the change of Rusev's kick to the face, now the kick in the back of the head, I actually like that. Excuse me. I actually like that switch. I think that makes it look more vicious because the past time he's done it, it's been looking very vicious. And the accolade that he put on Kalisto, once again, like I said at the end of Raw, on Raw, at the end of the match, he damn near broke Kalisto in half. It was very, it was very vicious, and that's what Rusev should look like. The Bulgarian brute. It's like you call a brute. He should be doing some brutish things. But as my prediction for his match, once again, I don't know if WWE is trying to bring Rusev back to I can't really say relevance because I don't think Rusev is to the point where like people don't really people care about him, but I don't know. But just bring him back to some sort of height that he was back in 2014 slash 2015 before his feud with Cena, and then before the summer rectangle square angle he was in. My prediction, something I predict Rusev. No, predicting Rusev. I don't know because I predicted probably Ryback. I was thinking when I didn't make my prediction, for Payback. I was thinking maybe Ryback would finally get the belt against Kalisto at Payback, but that's not the case. So, I actually predict Kalisto because it seems like I don't know if they're trying to the way they're trying to build Kalisto's credit is how Rey Mysterio started building his credit outside of the cruiserweight division back in WCW when he was like the giant killer. When he was beating the likes of Kevin Nash and everything. I think that was one of his biggest non-cruiserweight wins in WCW when he beat Kevin Nash. So something tells me that's why I'm predicting Kalisto win. I think that's how they're trying to build his cred. That despite him being the smallest dog in the fight, he can beat guys twice his size. Because one thing I did like, I'm not too big of a fan of the current commentary on the main roster, but I did like when Rusev became number one contender. And when they were talking about the match and everything, and JB, I think it was JB that said something about, Kalisto has fared well against bigger guys. So it wasn't like I don't think like where JB was like really writing them off. So it seems to me that that's what they're trying to do with Kalisto. And if that's the case, then I see I predict Kalisto to win this. All right, next up on the card, over from the United States all the way to the Intercontinental. Fatal 4 Intercontinental Championship match. The Miz defending his title against Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and Sami Zayn. This match, I think, is going to be a good one. I really see the Miz, doing, trying to pick his spots. But I think the thing is going to be, you got some great dynamics in there. And even though I still feel Cesaro should be Intercontinental champion after Payback, especially how he beat the Miz's ass. I do not predict. Okay, I predict the Miz to lose. I think I'm going to stay with that prediction because there's a part of me that thinks Sami Zayn might win. There's a part of me that thinks Cesaro might win, and there's a part of me that if Sami Zayn wins, is probably going to continue to either Owens or Zayn wins, going to continue their feud. But then again, you can think that feud can still continue without the feud. Without the belt in play. So my main prediction is that the Miz is not walking out of Newark, New Jersey, Intercontinental champion. And yes, I know he has a 25% chance, so it's almost like, oh, that's a real safe prediction. But I don't know. It's just you got Owens, Cesaro, Zayn there. It's, any one of those three can possibly do it. Next on the card, Tag Team Championship. The New Day defend their titles against the Bar Villains. I basically predicted this match, the outcome of this match. I basically gave my prediction last week. when somebody asks me, do you see the Raw villains beating the New Day? I think we should see the Raw villains becoming tag team champions. And I said, I know for sure not Extreme Rules because if the rumors are true, once again, I'm the type of person that when it comes to these rumors that go on the internet, I just go as if they're rumors. I'm not saying they're legit until some proof comes. So if the rumors are true that Vince McMahon and company, basically the higher up people in WWE, find the Bar Villains gimmick stupid and they don't have their support, then I don't see the reason. I don't really see the reason for them to actually book the Bar Villains to become tag team champions over the New Day. So that's why I do not predict the Bar Villains to win, at Extreme Rules. Yes, the Bar Villains. The Villains have gotten the drop on the New Day as of late, but all right, guys. Sorry about that. What was I talking about? Oh, so yeah, I was talking about the Raw Villains. Well, yeah, even though they have gotten the drop on a New Day, there's most time a situation in wrestling where odds are, especially the person gets the drop on the person with who's shooting with on the go home show. Odds are they wind up losing at the pay per view, but it's not really because of that. It's just if the rumors are true that, and I just not just the rumors, but I really don't see the New Day losing the belt, to the Raw Villains. I see them losing the belt to Kaz and Enzo. Or if not Kaz and Enzo, then Anderson and Gallows. I don't see the Raw Villains being that team to throw them. And if you technically look at it, the New Day have basically held the belt since Extreme Rules of last year. I mean, yeah, they lost their belts to the primetime players, but they gained them right back like the next month, like in a couple of weeks. So, and I'm the type where if you get the belt right back and it's been only a couple of weeks, then it's almost like a title interruption. That's how I always look at it. I still almost see the New Day's reign. I almost see it as there's still one reign. They just had an interruption. So they basically, the tag team must have been around their waist since Extreme Rules. So my prediction is the New Day to go over the Raw Villains. Next up. And you have the submission match for the Women's Championship. Charlotte versus Natalya. Which also the added stipulation, because his last night, Ric Flair is not only banned from ringside, but if he shows up like he did in that match against Paige, then Charlotte will have no choice but to forfeit her championship. Now, it makes me wonder if Charles Robinson is going to be the referee for this match. I doubt it, even though for some odd reason during this build-up, there's only been one instance of the whole Charles Robinson situation. There hasn't really been any, backlash or any continuation of what happened at Pay with Charles Robinson. It was almost like staff or ashamed that he even like reprimand him or anything. So it's going to be very interesting to see who's the referee of that match. And as I always say, Natalya and Charlotte, they have great chemistry with each other, and it should make for a good match. But it makes me wonder how is it going to be, because I always felt that my submission match is a match. If it's not like Brett, and Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13. I always thought it was the type of match where I always thought you can see the fans. You can see the fans like easily, like being detracted from the match, because if it's just trying to get a submission, just submission after submission home. You know what I mean? Like, I always felt the fans like they'll probably get bored of that, like easily. Like, okay, there's no throws. It's just submission home. So I've always kind of felt that this submission match, it fits if you have submission specialists, but it could easily be a match that somebody can get bored of. It's just hold after hold after hold, But I doubt that's going to be the case with Charlotte and Natalya. I think they're going to find ways to make, to keep the interest, at a good level. And as for my prediction, I predict Charlotte to win somehow. I mean, somehow she's gonna get Natalya to tap. I don't know. Since Extreme Rules, you never know. It might be in some extreme fashion, like to really put over that, Charlotte not only can do it on her own, even though a lot of people that watch NXT know that she can do it on her own, but maybe to put over that, she has a mean streak. But yeah, I predict, that Charlotte to retain the chair. That's kind of unfortunate in terms of Natalya, because I always would like to see Natalya get another, crack at, holding the belt, because, last time she ever had the belt was in 2011. And, most, well, I bet you there was a lot of people that thought, I know I did. I thought that was going to lead to, her versus Beth at WrestleMania, but they didn't. So it is pretty unfortunate that I don't see Natalya taking the belt for Charlotte. If she does, then it shouldn't be a surprise, but because Natalya's been kind of, I guess kind of like one that kind of undervalued. So she's got, she's very great in the ring, but but others have, that moved, past her, and it's one of those situations where I feel she's one of the most undervalued performers, wrestlers, in WWE. You know what I'm saying? If she was to win, it will only be a surprise because of that. Because anytime her and Charlotte go against her, while it's a great match, 9 times out of 10, Charlotte's always going over on the talent. So, but I predict Charlotte to retain her belt at Extreme Rules. All right. So next up is the first ever Asylum match. Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho at an Asylum match. Now, you may be thinking, you didn't watch Raw, you may be thinking, what the hell is an Asylum match? Well, seemingly, an Asylum match is a black painted steel cage match with weapons on top of the cage. And not just any weapon, like weapons you can find in a sound, like mops. And I think even Mitch is up there, Mitch the Plant, and barbed wire 2x4. And we don't even know the rules. We know that there's no escape, so I believe you can't win by escaping the cage. So it's probably out of pinfall submission. So since this is the first time ever match in WWE, and it's supposed to be, I guess, Ambrose's specialty match. My prediction is for Ambrose to win. But as for the match, it's one of those situations where since it's the first time match, it's like, okay, could this be good enough to spawn another match? In this chronology, another Asylum match, or just Jericho and Ambrose, even though what they do to the crowd wasn't good enough to really feel like, oh, you know what, keep this match. Like it's a keeper. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, seeing, okay, what can Jericho and Ambrose do to make the Asylum match not only stand out, but stand out enough that, okay, maybe WWE has something here. Maybe they have something, to keep. Yeah, but I predict Ambrose to win. And I gotta say that I really enjoyed the Ambrose Jericho feud. I thought what happened on SmackDown was very, very clever. A clever, niche to the feud. Having Ambrose be put in a straitjacket is like, okay, that was pretty clever. Let's see what it is. And then, of course, the main event. Roman Reigns defended his WWE Championship against AJ Styles and Extreme Rules, man. And on the wiki page, it says that the Usos and Luke Gallows and Carl are going to be in the men's respective corner. Excuse me. And, the problem is, like, you guys have had the Usos, Gallows and Anderson go at it so much that you would think, like, why not just have them have a match of their own in some like extreme, some no DQ stipulation, actually, instead of them once again, now this time them being not only legally, but seems like not only legally, but it seems like encouraged. Like it's encouraged for them to be a part of the match now. And it's mostly been those four bumbling instigators, really, driving everything. Like the reason for why, Reigns sees AJ do something wrong way, he feels the need to attack AJ, or why this. So it's like those four bumbling instigators. They're the ones. So I really hope it's not to the point where it's basically a 6-man tag match. There was a point in the John Cena Bray Wyatt match where it basically turned last man standing match at Payback, where it basically just turned into a 6-man tag. There was a point where it turned a 6-man tag when the Usos came out, the defender of the Wyatt family, and they had like the biggest spot where it was a superplex, through two table, I think 2 table or 1 table on the outside. And it didn't have to do with Cena or Bray Wyatt. It had to do with the run-ins. So I really hope that they really not like that way. It's like, well, why did you just didn't make this a 6-man tag Extreme Rules? I really hope that we can still tell it's AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns. And my prediction, unfortunately, as much as I would like to see AJ become WWE champion, yeah, it'll be pretty quick, but you know, um, I still would like to see him become WWE champion. I don't think this is the time and the place. So I predict Roman Reigns to win, but I also predict that this is probably going to be the final straw between AJ and Gallows Anderson. Probably the final straw where either he breaks off with them or they break off with him, and probably leads to Balor coming in. And that is the plans for him to come into some, which I believe it is. Even though um, you know what? I'm not even gonna say. I'm not even gonna say that I doubt because Balor has a match against Joe at Takeover in June because Owens was already on the main roster when his situation with Cena not only as NXT champion, but in two big quality NXT matches. Uh, one being in the Beast in the East live event, and also in August for the ladder match where she had two matches. No, no, he had two matches. Um Finn Balor in the ladder match for the NXT champion, and then on SummerSlam he had his match against Cesaro. Well, you know what? I'm gonna hold off saying that I can't see Finn. Can't see Finn debut on the main roster and be a put an angle while he's already has with Joe at Takeover in June, because Kevin Owens did the same thing last year. No, those are basically all the matches. So I don't think they're going to add. If they do, I don't see the point of adding the Golden Truth versus Fandango and Tyler Breeze to the card. But I predict Extreme Rules to be a pretty interesting, a pretty good pay-per-view. I mean, Payback. I find Payback, in terms of wrestling quality, to be good. So I really expect the same for Extreme Rules. Now, as I mentioned before about the Honolulu event, apparently, let me check, make sure I can get the exact information. All right. Okay, so let me make sure. Okay, so it says that it was said that during the May 9th edition of Raw, during that episode, there was an advertisement for a live event in Honolulu for WWE, and the highlighted matches were Brock Lesnar versus Kevin Owens, Charlotte versus Asuka, and Johnny Boy Cena versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Those were the three big advertised matches. Now, word is that none of this really been confirmed, but if it is true that these two matches are going to happen, I agree with my friend Nate that WWE, I think they will have to consider making that live event be a network special, because just those three matches alone can make it worth being a special. I think it make it worth being a special more than the Masquerade Garden special, more than Beast in East, which was almost like a glorified house show, and it was highlighted by Jericho and Neville and Owens. But the main thing on Owens versus Finn, where they should have closed out the show. And I think even Roadblock. I don't think it was Roadblock even really. Well, that's supposed to be a live event, but then they just made it to. I'm trying to remember. I don't think so. They really heavily like advertised a little bit Roadblock a bit. So hold on. I'm back, guys. So yeah, I think with those three matches alone, WWE should definitely consider making the Honolulu live event be a network special. And I'm trying to think. I'm not correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure if once again that's definitely if these matches become confirmed. But I'm trying to think. Has WWE actually had an event in Hawaii? Because they've always had live events in Hawaii, but I think they had an event in Hawaii that was broadcasted to the world. I'm trying to think that, and memory serving correctly, they haven't. So, what a better way for that to be the first broadcasted event in Hawaii than it'd be a better way than to have it be headlined by Shinsuke versus John Cena, Lesnar versus Owens, a match that was supposedly was rumored to happen at Mania, but they got scrapped. And then Oscar versus Strong. What a better way to have your first Honolulu broadcasted event. All right, what a better way. And with that, that's about covers everything on this edition of the corner. When we get this Sunday is Extreme Rules 2016, which I predict should be a pretty interesting event. I hope that it's one that we can all enjoy. I really do, because I found Payback to be enjoyable, especially after I kind of shady booked WrestleMania. So look out for maybe some surprises. Maybe see something goes down between the Reigns and AJ, match after, because a lot of us was interested in the ending of the Payback match, because we had suspicion maybe Finn will be coming or this will happen. So I think the same thing probably follows with this match. So look for that, and also look to see if with the Asylum match, what is going to happen that separates it from Cage match, or how I feel that it's almost like a TNA's lethal lockdown, just one-on-one, what separates it from that. Then you name it. But they're going to be a keeper. So look for stuff like that. So anyway, like always, this was the Wrestling Corner this week. Let me make sure. Hayden Plumpton. Well, hello, Hayden. Unfortunately, you basically caught me while I'm closing the show, but you can watch the replay after the live broadcast ends. But still, hello. So this was Wrestling Corner, episode 3 of season 6. You know, like always, this is Hoka 93. I'm always in the place to be. And until the wrestling corner, stay easy. And until the next wrestling corner, peace.